determination to change the nation. I'm manifesting the truth. Back in the booth to give you the messages that's been channeling right through me. No, I'm not Jesus, although my spirit is great. I'm eating my food without a plate, escaping this place through my meditations. New life begun when I reloaded the gun and realized where I was from was not too far from the sun, like somewhere close by the moon. Now I'm connected like Zoom. On walks of life that ever lived, call me like out of the blue. So I just pass it to you, right through your speakers with clues. And if you choose to free your mind, then you will have all the tools. But I can't make you take it and shake it and mentally break yourself out. Cause freeing your mind without a doubt is something you have to try out. But once you see the light, your might, and all the power you've had, then you have reached the fifth dimension and you can brighten your path. But others who choose to follow the red pills, it's harder to swallow. Or you can wallow in your sorrows, feeling all empty and hollow. The only way you'll see the truth is if it's starting with you. So please stop lying to yourself, start being truthful to you. The only way you'll see the truth is if it's starting with you. So please stop lying to yourself, start being truthful to you, to you.
Hey, what's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Yeah, so we popping in the middle of the day. And yeah, I haven't been doing my show lately, out of respect for the missing ladies, the young ladies that we were looking for, that people were looking for. I didn't want to take away from that. I couldn't think outside of that anyway. It was just tough. So I'm gonna bring my brother on, Brother Fox. How you doing, sir?
I'm well. I'm glad to be here. We causing some trouble today, it looked like.
Yeah. I just wanted to do a brief moment of silence for the young ladies, if we can, please. All right, just briefly, the efforts for raising the money to get them buried is going on now. So I'll have some updates on my page here pretty soon. But the post you made today, of course, is stirring the pot. You know, we had some soup in the on the stove and it got kind of stale, so we had to put a big spoon in there and stir it up a little bit. And so first of all, thank you for joining us today and actually stirring the pot. We need some more pot stirs. And I'm gonna bring up the post that is stirring the pot because I wanted to talk to you about it. Miss Weston should be joining us here pretty soon. Let's see here. There it is. All right. Yeah, man. So how you feeling being an uncle and everything now? You got a little more authority now, huh?
Oh man, it's been a blessing. Yeah, and I'm definitely using that power here across the scope of things. But it's been a blessing. This is our first, my parents' first grandbaby, and
wow.
baby. So we're just excited to have new life, and it really puts into perspective like all the things we're working to do, all the things we want to accomplish, and what it means to really pass on a better world for the next generation. So this work takes on more powerful meaning when you see the people you want to protect, in the most vulnerable state, So I'm glad that we're in partnership together, that we're in brotherhood together, and we got multiple people on this effort to ensure real leadership and real representation in our communities.
Yes, sir. And I see it's already 11 people on here. So either y'all ain't got no job or y'all on break or y'all doing something, but I still appreciate y'all joining regardless, So yeah, let me, I'm going to make sure I can zoom this up a little bit so they can read the words. Okay. Wait, I'm getting into some other tea. Yeah. All right. Let me see. There's us. Okay, here we go. Right here. All right, let's click show more because I want to start with what you said. Mm-hmm. And they say in 2025, we refuse to choose between the lesser of the two evils. We choose no evil at all. Black Advocates Group. Okay. And it's that right there already letting you know we coming to stir the pot. Black Advocates Group. So that's everybody that advocate in their own way and manner have come together as a group. And I appreciate being included in this. I appreciate the people who is included in it. And I appreciate the joint efforts because what we've done for years has been a bunch of individuals doing stuff on our own.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have a joint effort. He said, I just got off work. Be nice. Yeah, brother Jonathan. So, yeah. So, Jakeen, I'm going to let you go ahead and talk about this real quick.
I mean, let's start there. That quote was taken out of our formal public statement as a group. This is our first kind of action. It was this idea and something that you and I have been talking about for a while, and bringing more and more people on. Kazim, DJ Ray Bay, Jared and Jerron Hall, Anthony the Mayor Kellogg, just really bringing in people from all walks of life that represent so many of the different factions, or different bodies, groups inside of our Black community, and seeing what's the foundational opportunity we have to unify, and unifying not in the sense that we all have to agree on every issue or every tactic, but our baseline is the same, and that foundational unity we found in the reality that Black liberation is our goal, that's our path forward, that allows us to do things that we haven't done before, and that we have to really work together to be able to create that experience for ourselves and for each other. So I'm really proud to be one of the people helping to create some messaging for this group, because it means a lot to say we're taking people from all different places in their lives, different age groups, and we're building a real coalition for this work, and we're taking that cue from history. Some of the greats in our communities and civil rights have done exactly that, and we don't need a new blueprint. We just need to do exactly what they did with the same passion that they did, and this is the first step to that. Advocacy isn't always political. It's, we've done our work in so many different areas through, mutual aid, helping community members with different resources, making sure that they're connected to different opportunities. But I think the reality of the moment is that there's a political thing happening, and that we would be remiss not to comment on it and not to utilize our different platforms to ensure that our community has something to hold people accountable to, and that they actually get something from the leadership that they're going to be putting into office. And so when we say that we're refusing to choose between the lesser of two evils, we found from our effort to engage these political candidates that they don't have the same interests that we do.
Absolutely.
And the whole point of politics is that you get something from your vote. That's the entire point. If you're voting just because there's two options and you haven't expressed any leverage or any power in how you choose, then you are just a sheep in the experience, as opposed to being an actual participant in it. We're not helping other people achieve their goals just for that sake alone. We're doing this so that we get something out of it. And I think as we continue the conversation, we'll see that the things that we asked for were pretty reasonable. That they weren't some pie in the sky kind of metrics for success, but really reasonable things that impact our everyday lives. So that's how we want to start this conversation, with the reality that these are reasonable expectations, and that the political candidates that we have to choose from failed, even before they got into the job, to make us interested in helping them get to the place that they want to get to.
Right. And so what you see here is, like I say, picture here is our joint statement on the outcome of that process, which it was just, we decided on a fair process to determine which District 2 council candidate will receive our joint endorsement. And joint is this small advocacy group that has gotten together now, which is going to grow. But I mean, still, it was a joint effort. And so what we wanted to do was, like you said, give them a chance to sign on to something that we felt like was important based off what we hear from the people who we serve. I mean, we are public servants right now. And I always say I'm not an elected official, I'm a selected official. And that's only because people see that I have the love and passion for my community. So they'll come to me, they'll come to Jakeen. So it's not something that we ran for. It's just people see results and they always reach out for help. So the statement, like he said, it should not discourage anyone from the act of voting itself. We don't want to say don't vote. What we're saying is we are not casting a vote for the District 2 seat. However, we are supporting John Ewing in his run for mayor. So I want to make that clear. If you go in there, you still want to vote for any one of them, whether it's Lavanya or Ben, that's fine. But we as a collective won't be voting for neither one of them. What we'll do is still go in and support Mr. Ewing. Okay. And they go Kasim. He said, yes, sir. Yeah. And so what Jakeem did today was posted the screenshots from their responses to our inquiry. It was just a request to sign and let us know what you think about them, and at least give us some kind of feedback like, hey, I'm willing to talk, I'm willing to work with you or something. And it wasn't too demanding, like he said. And really, the topics were health and wellness, housing, economics, criminal justice reform, community investment, community safety, right? And so that's stuff that we believe is important to us and to the people that talk to us about these things consistently when they see us out in public.
And not only that we're having those conversations with our constituency base or the people that we're around, but these are the things that each candidate has espoused that they're responsible for in that seat at the city council level. And I've said that they take a great interest in, but haven't actually made any meaningful commitments to our community about what they're going to do. We've seen a ton of generic, meaningless statements about the work that they hope to do and what they hope to accomplish. And that doesn't give the community an opportunity to advocate for themselves or hold anyone accountable. And that's the reason politicians make statements like that, so that they're not beholden to any specific metric for how to do the job, which means that they don't have to do it at all. So our opportunity here was to say, these are the ways that we think that you can impact this. We know that these things are directly impacted from that office, as well as the office of mayor, as well as most of those elected officials. Like I would do the same thing for a county election, because there's so many departments that directly impact our health and wellness, that directly impact our housing and economics and criminal justice reform. And if our candidates aren't savvy on that, they do not deserve the job. Right. And so that's why we created this list of community metrics. And I think, again, a term of 4 years, what we hoped would be accomplished. And again, not without our help. If a candidate was to sign on to this, we'd be 100% not only endorsing them, but supporting them in their efforts to achieve these goals, because this extends all of our lives in real ways. So we want to make that clear, that this wasn't just a mandate for them, but it was an opportunity for them to gain meaningful partnership with the community of advocates that are doing this work already.
Right. And it's to uphold what we promised during the election. He supported Maurice. I supported Ms. Weston. We was able to put all that aside and say, hey, if y'all would sign on to this stuff, we'll support you. Neither one of them was our pick, but we were still willing to put that stuff aside and support them in this situation.
And not only were they not my pick, I actively didn't want them to win. I'm going to be honest about that, because it's important that we be transparent about the biases that we have. I am 100% biased against Ben Gray. I led the charge to get him out of office when I put together 16 advocates to talk about his failures for the 12 years in office. I've had very pointed conversations with Lavanya Goodwin and have expressed publicly my distaste for her behavior and actions. And yes, when it comes to my community, I can put all those personal issues aside to do what's best. And I think all of us in that group were more than willing to do that, because we know I'd rather save thousands of people and help and assist them to better their lives than hold a grudge against these two people.
Absolutely. And like Ray Bay said, and gain some trust in their community. So here we are reaching out to say we'll help, we'll be a part of whoever wins. And we want to see you respond to what the community said, because let's not forget, you are voted in by people. That means you work for the people, not your self-interest, your political interest. All that stuff is out the door, and we're not tolerating it. So following the local primary election, our community was left with a choice between candidates, Ben Gray and Lavanya Goodwin. To say we were disappointed by these results, driven mostly by the reality at the intersection of low voter turnout and an electorate made up of 80% senior age voters, would be an understatement. So to get into the statements, when Gray was removed from office in 2021 after significant effort by a huge group of advocates from different parts of the Black community, we did believe that the voters began to truly understand what is at stake, and we chose the wrong local leadership. After 12 years of declining median household income, the loss of generational assets, and predatory practices by nonprofits and land developers, voters finally decided to end his legacy of failure. And of course, they tried to bring him back on the land bank, and that was when I said Ben Gray, last name is Gray because his Black is faded, and it was because I felt like he no longer represented the interests of the Black people. So here you got another chance to do that, and it's an F for failure, okay? And then 5 years ago, the 24th Street Business District, BID, was created to champion the economic development, infrastructure improvement, promotion, and safety of the North 24th Street Business Improvement District area, driven by community collaborations. In that time, we have seen no significant changes in the aesthetics of the area, apart from beautification efforts meant to appease white elected officials and land developers touring 24th Street like a hood safari. Hood safari. Yeah, that's what it looked like. And under Goodwin's leadership, North 24th Street has been a beacon for those that prey on our community, out-of-state developers, police, nonprofits, and others who find their success on the backs of our plight. This is why I'm a part of this group, because that's what I've been preaching for years, bro. And our district, which is supposed to be business, has turned into a nonprofit district where we're getting coupons written with the data that's collected in our area that's supposed to be for business, but it's turned to a poverty pimping area. Why? Because you remove the businesses. There's no businesses hardly there. So there's no economic growth. Our kids turning 16 can't go to 24th Street and get their first job under somebody that's Black in the community. We can't experience our culture walking up and down the street like we can go to South Omaha and feel like we just left Mexico without a passport. Okay? Let's be real.
Yeah, and we have to be honest about, the businesses that are still there are very self-serving to the people that are running for office. We see, some of the business that is connected to nonprofits, have been big supporters of Ben Gray, or the fact that like the Goodwin barbershop is on 24th Street. And that's where we've seen a lot of the dollars that go to the improvement from the business improvement district. We're seeing a lot of those innate biases and conflicts of interest not being addressed by these officials, and no one holding them accountable. And so that's part of the reason we made this statement, is that there's these people who have been self-serving in the past. We're offering them the benefit of the doubt that with our partnership and with our support, they can do a new thing in their own career experiences. And, it's a slap in the face to get the weak responses that we got.
Right. Very weak. And so
but I think we should, if you don't mind us going through what we asked for.
Okay.
It's really important that people understand that these, again, are reasonable asks, and not only reasonable, but so necessary to how we are going to live our lives for the next 4 years and beyond. People don't have 4 years, if we're being honest. We're being attacked politically from the federal government. Our state is taking its cues from the federal government. Some people don't have that long for their businesses, for their health, for their opportunity to pass down assets. 4 years is a critical time period in our life. That's why a term is 4 years, because you're able to do a lot and achieve a lot. And for them not to be willing to even have more of a conversation around that is not only disappointing, it's really indicative of their moral failures. So I'm going to go through that list really quickly. These are the community metrics for success. Health and wellness. Currently in Omaha, Black people's life expectancy is 10 years shorter than that of their white counterparts. Success on this metric is at the end of 4 years, that racial disparity being cut in half. Mm-hmm. So we're not saying that you have to end the disparity at all. We understand that there's so many factors that contribute to a shorter life expectancy, but we want you to have an intention to work on that and to have a plan for how you will address that. And we want that to be cut in half through partnership, not only with us, but through all the major entities that exist in the city and the county. The county Department of Health is a huge partner in helping us cut that disparity in half. And if they were in any kind of real partnership, and not just in a self-serving mentality, they would understand that there's so many opportunities, so many organizations, Charles Drew, so many other ones, Noah, that are willing to help in this endeavor, but they're not sophisticated in that realm. So that's one. Housing. Currently in Omaha, there has not been a clearly defined definition of affordable housing, with the median household income being $48,000, and that's in North Omaha District 2 specifically, and the national idea of affordable housing being 30% of income or less. Success on that metric is to define in the first year that affordable housing in District 2 is a monthly rent of no more than $1,200 for a family of 3, which is the average household size in District 2. So to break that down, our households are making $48,000 a year for salary. That's the household. And inside of a household, there's usually 3 people. And so for that math to make sense, the rent could not go above $1,200 for that to be 30% or less. So we're asking them to clearly define that, because in most of the conversations you'll see around TIF funding and just affordable housing in general, because there's a lack of definition, land developers are still able to do whatever they want to do. So we have to clear up that definition. We have to make sure that people understand what affordable housing is in our area, and to make sure that we're holding people accountable to that. For economics, currently the median household income in District 2 is $48,000 compared to the rest of the Omaha, which is $72,000. So think about $28,000 more in your household every year. Success on this metric is at the end of 4 years, District 2 should be even with the rest of the city. What official working in our community wouldn't want that to happen, or wouldn't make it expressed interest in helping partner with us to solve that issue? It's a strange thing not to comment on.
Right.
Criminal justice reform. Currently in Nebraska, Black people are incarcerated at a rate 9.5 times higher than their white counterparts. Success on this metric is at the end of 4 years, that racial disparity being decreased by half. This is certainly within the realm of authority for our city council person, because Omaha houses, I think, 90% of the Black community of the state. Right. So all of those people, most of those people are being arrested right here in Omaha and in North Omaha specifically. So that is 100% in the purview of the city council person to do criminal justice reform that changes that outcome. No comment on those. But we've seen a reinvigorated interest in supporting police, specifically from Lavanya Goodwin. Mm-hmm. Community investment. Currently in North Omaha, there is an oversaturation of nonprofit organizations. We saw that when Senator Terrell McKinney, who also signed on to this statement, did an interim study at the legislature about the oversaturation and how 200 nonprofits are in that 68111 area, and also have physical property in that, which takes away from our opportunity to really build businesses, brick and mortar businesses like you talked about, Sherman. So there's an oversaturation that consistently receive gratuitous amounts of funding, many of those organizations being run by and employing a majority non-Black people. Success on this metric is a reallocation of funds from non-Black led entities to Black led community organizations and Black businesses that are in good standing with the community and intentional in their pursuit of racial justice for the surrounding community. I know you have a lot to say about that. And we all do. Oh, Cheryl just joined in. Awesome to see you. Mm-hmm. And then the last one, community safety. Currently in Omaha, Black people make up 12% of the population, but account for 22% of fatal crashes while walking, biking, or driving. Success on this metric is at the end of 4 years, that disparity being decreased by half. We're dying in our own community by these kind of accidents, and we didn't have one candidate that would even comment on the issue. So that's what we asked for in our endorsement agreement. And as we should talk about from the responses, you can tell who cared about that and who didn't.
Yeah, so I'm gonna pull up the responses, but I do want to quickly answer a couple questions in the chat. I'm glad you joined, Ms. Weston, because your comment about the 24th Street BID and the Goodwin family, and then somebody said they was interested of an answer to this, because she said, I think the success of the Goodwin family should not be belittled nor left out just because of Lavanya's positioning of herself, but we need flourishing economics in North Omaha.
I would like to clarify that is that when I made the statement, I'm referring to every time you've gone to a debate, every time you've gone to a forum, Ms. Goodwin has said, I did this, I. The BID could not have happened without me. I was the one that got the 13 million to 2 million. And so I'm saying, no, I'm not saying anything against the family of Goodwins, but let's remember she's not Goodwin. She married Goodwin and she is using that name. That's what I have a problem is that our community needs to learn and have information about the individual who's running, not their name legacy. That's not who you are electing. That is where I'm coming from, is let's open up and have a conversation and be honest. And as you already said, and anybody can go down 24th Street, what has happened, there's been like 9, I believe it is 9 BIDs. And the 24th Street BID is in the worst condition of all those BIDs. And why is it that BID that you so every talk about, it, you have to remember there's more than just the 24th Street BID for North Omaha. And everything you get is from always about that BID, what happened and what's being done. There is nothing. BIDs that started after 2020 are much farther along. You can go over to Little Bohemian, go down South 13th Street, and all you see is development. And what you talked about earlier was businesses where our youth can get a job, businesses where individuals are making. They have restaurants, they have food services. I mean, there are so many different things. And to say that, the BID and it takes time, I am complaining is because it takes time. But why is it that you have your business, your interests? If you are for North Omaha, shouldn't you be about all of North Omaha?
Absolutely.
Shouldn't you be about the community, everyone that's represented? Businesses, those businesses, people need to learn and understand what a BID is about. Go to Dundee, go down in Benson. Those are BIDs, and you see the activity and things that have happened in those BIDs.
Absolutely. And then when you talk about jobs on 24th Street, that will also create mentorship, because you know how we are. If those kids are coming down to our jobs to work, we'll be in their ear all day talking to them about their life, about school. That is also mentorship. So if we had a black business, actual black business district where we have business owners, that would be training for those kids, mentorship for those children, and then a sense of connection. Because when you go down the street, I'm not gonna lie, I get depressed driving down.
Exactly.
And that's on purpose. And so I want to get to Mrs. Goodwin's response. And like my sister Ray Bay said, that's my real sister, y'all didn't know, but nah, she said that this was a copy and paste answer. And so when you go look on her website, this is copy and pasted. If elected to Omaha City Council for District 2, LaVanya Goodwin, as she's speaking in the third person, is committed to collaborating with residents, businesses, and organizations within the district to explore solutions to the challenges outlined in your proposal and to address broader economic and social issues within the scope of City Council. So yeah, that was
and I didn't screenshot the very first response, which was actually asking if we were a PAC or a nonprofit. So she was hoping to get money from a group. And once she decided that we weren't going to give money, she copied and pasted this response. Or if she even was the person talking.
She followed suit in that, though, because she registered and filed as a nonpartisan and then switched to a Democrat. And so that she could get that support and the information of the Democrats. And I say to anyone, if you will switch before elected, you will switch after elected.
Yeah,
I think you have to step away for a minute. One of my little ones right here is getting me. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I just want to make it clear, like once, and I think it's indicative again of her character and moral failings, that once she decided that there wasn't money that she wasn't interested in having that conversation, which is not only disappointing, but very revealing, that she's not having conversations with community members, that she's copy and pasting statements that have nothing to do with what we asked her. And that demonstrates not only a disinterest in our collaborative efforts, but a disinterest in the very specific metrics that we believe would make someone successful and are willing to support them in being. So what that details to me is that she doesn't care about health and wellness, that she doesn't care about community safety in the way that we think about it, only that she cares about it in a way that benefits her and the BID. She doesn't care about any of the issues we raised, like economics, criminal justice reform, community investment, or housing. This is a personal attempt to gain power. And we see that in how she communicates.
Absolutely. And I do want to just point out that these people commenting, these ain't regular people. These is all people who are involved in the community, some shape, some way, some form. Prentice, Liz, Myron, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Anderson, I mean, Miss Wanda, Steven. So when we talk about this group of people, these are the group. This is all included in this group because we are people who work together when we see issues in our community. And what it's going to take is for all of us to no longer sit on the sidelines and step into the position or place where we can be the most effective and continue to use our voice and come together. So again, I do appreciate all of y'all joining in. It's 26 of y'all on here.
And to that point, I want to make sure, because a post was shared with me from Maurice Jones that questioned our actions as a advocacy group.
Oh, wow.
And questioned our attempt to have a political conversation, and how he wasn't sure how it made sense that if we're an advocacy group that we're not a political body. So I wanted to make that point that for someone young in his career and with not much experience in this effort, that advocacy is not a political realm in and of itself. Again, we do advocacy in a majority a community, which is mutual aid, which is giving and receiving based on the needs that people have. So that's what advocacy means, that you're able to speak to a need and to have a value and a moral center that enables you to understand that you give as much as you get. And from someone who just takes, that this might be confusing, but I wanted to clear that up for him to make sure that he can make another post and understand what we're talking about, because I know he'll watch. And for people to beware of people like that want to silence you when your speaking doesn't benefit them.
Yeah.
Because
repeat that.
People that try
that
to
is where we are
yeah.
now, and we are in the problem is because if you don't go along with what they have to say, and so I think if you could just repeat that again.
Yeah, you have to beware of people that want to silence you when your speech doesn't benefit them, because that means they're willing to silence you at any turn, and that makes them an enemy to our community. It's important that we understand that we should always be for democracy, for enabling people to speak when they need to speak, because that's how we come to a better conclusion. When we're including multiple ideas and we're able to get together, that's what Black people do. Black people talk and we confront and we have those, and it might not always be pleasant, but that's what community means, that we're willing to engage always. And for people that don't understand Black people, that might be hard for them, but that's what we do.
Yeah, and Miss Wanda made a comment. Lavanya's maiden name is Watson. Her mother name is Barbara Watson. She ran it all down. She grew up in South Omaha Terrace. Barbara Watson, Freddie Gray, Stearns Gray grew up together. Man, she went all the way in. So we do have people that know stuff. Brother Johnson said he think we should move to a different platform because Facebook limits people to engage, but that's not true, because on my page it's open to the public. So you don't have to be my friend or subscribed or nothing. You can still communicate and talk. Watching everything.
Y'all that are watching, y'all should share the link as well, so it goes to your groups too. So make sure that y'all are hitting that share button so that more people can see that conversation. Because
trust and believe, right now it's about 20 plus people actually clicked in watching, but the moment we end this live, it's gonna be in the hundreds because they just sit back and watch and they're not my friends and stuff like that. But I'm okay with that. That's cool.
That's where we have a difference, where we are different, because we don't silence, we don't say you can't watch our program, we don't
Absolutely.
say you're not part of it. Mine is the same. It's public.
Public.
I take it as it comes, and I always say everyone has a right to an opinion. We can agree or disagree, but at least let's have a amiable conversation and bring out why, if you're really for the community, because you might get something that could change my mind. You might be able to say something to me that can change my mind. But these individuals, they're not even willing to engage honestly.
Right.
They're not willing to engage, one, because they're not savvy on the issue. So they're not able to engage on our levels, or the levels that the community is holding them responsible to,
right?
Which is a big piece of that. And two, because they understand that they're not persuasive either. The silencing tactic is a domination tactic. It's an expression of power. I can silence you. I don't have to engage with you. You're less than. And that's not who we are as Black people. That's never who we're going to be. And that's a function of white supremacy. And we're no longer accepting that in our communities and the way that we have this space. So which is the whole point of this process, that we got these people together and said, no matter our biases, no matter the conversations that we've had in the past, we're more than willing to assist you if you truly believe and intend to do the work of the community.
Absolutely.
We're able to put our biases and our pettiness aside to help you do a good thing. And it's unfortunate that the people that should be in these offices haven't run yet, or weren't able to make it past the primary, because now we have people that aren't willing to engage, and aren't willing to engage honestly, because they have white supremacy too deep in their minds and hearts.
Too deep. I do want to get to Brother Ben Gray's statement, which was just some mumbo jumbo. Kind of looked like to use Chat GPT to respond, but it's basic. Thanks for reaching out, sharing your proposal. I continue my re-election. I'm not gonna read it all because he goes into his old stuff of what he did over the past 40 years, and he had 7 to 8 town halls a day or a week or whatever. And then he goes into, regarding affordable housing, I fully agree that clear, actionable standards are needed. While the city council does not control rent prices directly, we will advocate for policies to make housing more accessible, such as ordinance and new landlords that honor existing leases and stuff. But Ms. Weston can speak on that consent decree that he was a part of,
yes,
which kind of got us in the situation where we at now. So if you were thinking that now, what about before, in the whole 12 years you had when you were doing it?
Yeah, the work wasn't satisfactory back then. So you referencing it now is actually like double dumb. Yep. You know what I mean? Like, so now you're doubling down on the fact that you didn't do the work that we kicked you out of the office in the first place for. So using your record as a reference now is really silly and simple, and is in total disconnect to the community conversation that's having, which is why these people are not suited for the office.
Yeah. Ms. Weston, I wanted to give you a chance to speak on that affordable housing piece that he was talking about in the landlords.
Well, that affordable housing, there's several things with it. The mayor had to sign off, the city council, and that's where people, hopefully, as we have come together, we will be able to start to hold some maybe town hall meetings or something to educate people on what is supposed to take place in the city council, what the city council members can do, what they cannot do. But getting back to that housing, there is a way that decree, they can go back and go to the courts to say it is not working. Right. We need to have this reevaluated. Not one time has he said that he was willing to do that. At first, he said he didn't sign off on it. And then at that debate, we said, oh, no, everything that has to come through has to be voted through and approved by the city council. They have to be. It can't even become an ordinance or law without that. Then also in the affordable housing, I have been saying, several other people have been saying, what about this TIF program? He has not come out and said Neither candidate. One can't because they don't know anything about it. And then the other one, they haven't said anything about it, is in that TIF. TIF has ability to say and require. That city can require each developer a certain amount or a percentage, whatever they want to do it, as to being affordable. But when you have, such as last week, I believe it was either 4 or 5 TIFs that went through, and only one of them was affordable housing. And then the others were like 91, 50 some market rate housing. That could change if the city council would put forth a requirement when it goes to city planning, before it ever gets to city council, is you must have a requirement. You must have X amount. It's just like, it's a give and take. You give something and I get something in return. That's how business works.
Exactly.
That's how things are laws anytime. And one other thing about that I'd say is neither one of these candidates have said anything truly substantial about the homelessness that exists. And you have homelessness because what? You don't have economic development and jobs because people don't have jobs. You have homelessness because people can't afford to have that rent. Now there's trying to get the law through the state is that there will be no rent control. See, not one of these, and those questions should be asked. I would love to hear somebody have asked that question. I think they got 2 more debates coming up, Sunday and Friday or Saturday, something like that. Ask the questions. As a group, we got to start asking tougher questions of these candidates.
And I think it's important to also recognize that we're not asking for something to be done that's revolutionary in our country. There are plenty of states and cities that have utilized rent control. There are plenty of states in the Midwest. Illinois is an example I keep using that has capped rent at a certain level and has ended move-in fees, that has ended application fees, at least in the first house of their government process, and needs to go into the second house to get that approved to be law. But these are things that advocates are working on across the board. And these are easy things that people could sign up. We're not even asking them to change the law by any means, even though that's the next step to this. We're asking them to say, define affordable housing in a way that makes sure people can have a house and a home to live in. So that, again, a very reasonable request that Lavanya didn't even deign to answer, and Ben Gray, put together a fluff statement to respond to.
Yeah, speaking of fluff and stuff, let's finish off this thing so I can get that out of there. Say, through my proposed partnership with Value in Innovation Technologies, we can provide small businesses with tools to connect with larger corporations to access critical opportunities. With the $500,000 in ARPA funds I've secured, we will train small business owners and help them scale their business. Why didn't you do that the whole 12 years, bro? Look at this statement. You saying all this stuff you can do, but you had the opportunity to do it already. Where did we see the growth at? No, you got in there with that flat top and left with a ball cut. And when they cut out your flat top, you lost your connection to the Black community, bro. It's like Samson or something like that.
And we didn't only see no positive gain. We saw a negative decline.
Oh my God.
In 26 years ago, we had $52,000 as our median household income. After his time in office, we were down to 48. So failure. That's an obvious failure that needs to be addressed. And he went around making videos about how much money he put into building after building that barely serves us in any of those capacities anyway. But can't talk about how he ensured that we made less money as a community. Right. And that's what we need to address.
Yeah, Clarice said no one from the city went down to the Nebraska legislature to testify in support of the rental fee legislation. Wow. And Clarice is one of them people.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that we talked about earlier, that's applying pressure in this community. Y'all might not see it all, but I do because I follow the girl. But I'm telling you, she's one of them people.
And she's made some great comments on that post that we posted this morning. So if you haven't got to engage, that's getting close to 100 comments now. Go through and look at all that great information that advocates are bringing to the table and add your voice to that conversation, because we need people to, because everyone's watching that post. There might not be there might not be all the likes or reactions to it, but everyone's watching that post. So go there, get some good information, see some advocates like Carice that have some great specialties and great information to share, and learn something.
Yeah, and like Prentice said, the homelessness is because of the highest inflation, poor education. They'd rather have our children addicted to drugs than educated about assets. And the drugs he's speaking on is those ADHD drugs, which turns to other drugs, because they quick to say our kids are, they have ADHD. They put them in the secondary schools and they on their way to prison. Miss Jean said, I would vote for a chair before I vote for Ben Gray. At least a chair serves a purpose. Yeah, for sitting on it. I agree. We need to be promoting ownership over renting. Yeah, I agree with you, Akidra.
I think there's space for both, 100%. Yeah, I think we should be supporting people in the way that they want to be supported.
Yeah,
that's what our job is, because our safety nets are declining. We'll see that in the federal government. Everything that we thought would protect us does not. And we knew that as Black people from the beginning. But now's not the time to say what is the best way. We have to say what's working for you. Let me support you, and let that be a pathway to evolution of their opportunities and ideas.
Yeah. And then he said, to go on and end it, he said he's dedicated to partnering with city and state leaders, nonprofit business owners, in District 2. Together we can spark visible change and create a strong whatever. And like Jakeem said, y'all can go to that post and engage on the post, have the conversation with the community. But this is the type of stuff we have to continue to do, and we take ownership. We're native to this land. This is ours. Okay, so we don't have to wait for somebody to tell us what to do. We do what we want to do because we're the people, and the people who run the city, not the elected officials. They're elected by us. So we run them. And if they can't take our orders, like Jahi said, then we have to get into a place where we have the numbers to remove them, because they won't apply the agendas and directives we have already given them. Okay. So that's what we're going to do if it comes down to it, because we run this town. This is our town. Okay. Jakeem, you got anything else you want to add? Miss Weston done dropped off. I don't know.
The little ones was getting on there.
It was all on her neck. So
yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, I really appreciate, again, you having the conversation and utilizing your platform in this way. I think it's so important, again, that we demonstrate through action and practice what it means to put our differences aside and create that foundational unity, that liberation is the goal. And there are so many tactics we can utilize to achieve that. Politics is just one of those. And right now is the time for politics. And it's that time every 4 years or every 2 years, depending on which election you're interested in. But we're a multifaceted people. We have many, many skills and assets, and we should bring all of those to bear in every situation, because our opposition, they are attacking us politically, socially, mentally, physically. They use every avenue to dominate us, and we have to be just as savvy in how we create liberation for ourselves. So don't let anyone shame you out of participating. Don't let anyone shame you into participating in something you don't want to participate into. Use your talents wisely, but understand that there's a lane for all of us in all of this space, and it's a big lane that we all need to be getting into in whatever way we feel powerful.
Right. Yeah, and we do. We all have differences, but we can agree that we love North Omaha. We love our people. We love being Black, because Black is beautiful. And Kasim said you look like a detective, just so you know. And then usually, and like I told this brother, man, I don't associate with too many tall people, because they like to put their elbow on you, and try to lean on you when they
grow up.
I'm not growing no more, bro. I'm 5'5". I'm a little pistol.
You mad at me?
Yeah. But they said we love Jakeem Fox and Sherman Wells. We love you too.
Thank you.
I was just talking to her, and your brother was just at my house today, Rael. We was just talking to him about including the South Sudanese people in the conversation of this mayoral election and anything that got to do with politics.
So important.
Helping getting y'all registered, helping y'all understand who to vote for, because you are a part of this community. So I don't think that y'all should continue to be left out of the conversation. And so I wear this South Sudan flag every day. It never comes off because I want to be reminded that these are my people too, and they should be included in the conversations that we have around North Omaha because they are a part of North Omaha. So the more we can get them involved, we're going to do that. Miss Wanda said, lean on me. But we'll definitely include the people from South Sudan in this conversation. And I would like to have John come to the church and at least talk to Pastor John or Father John, however y'all refer to him as, and to make sure that we are addressing the issues that y'all have in the community as well, because I see it all the time where, you know, some of the young Sudanese people, I see them out there on the homeless front. You know what I mean? I see them involved in the gangs and the program that got our young people. So, and when they look at y'all, we all the same. We all just black people. So there's no difference here.
Yeah,
so we got to make sure
we're data at the county. They're not disaggregating data at DCYC. They
no.
That means all of us.
Yeah. So it's all of us. Miss Weston is back, but I don't see her camera on. Stephen Abraham said the reason why we see homelessness is a high rate, and we see now in the past is because North and South Omaha are the only two districts or areas that have homeless shelters in them. There was talking about moving the shelters east. Yeah, and she said we now bad right now. See, and I don't like hearing that, and like we got to be able to help and address. And like I said, they are part of the community. I love this sister. I love her family in the Sudan community. So yeah, whatever we can do to help uplift y'all, get y'all into the conversations and the issues that y'all have into the conversations, just let me know. You know, we'll definitely do that. But yeah, I gotta make a run real quick. It's almost 4:00. Miss Weston, I see your finger over the camera. I don't know. Let me see what she over there.
It was internet connections and stuff, but you guys were great. You carried on. Appreciate it.
Yep. Any last words, Miss Weston, before we get out of here?
I just think, this was, I hope that it was helpful. I felt like it is. And I want people to know we're open. We don't know everything. And that's the reason why we're doing this, is to come out because we want our community. We love our community. And I've said it many times, if I may get upset and irritated and all that, but I love my community, because if it wasn't, I still wouldn't be here. And I thank you for bringing this on, Sherman and Jakeem, and for getting that response and everything out. We're always open, and we want people to be. It's not a closed advocacy group. We're not, because we know that we cannot win if we don't include all.
And I thank you for saying that, because I've gotten quite a few asks about how to join into this Black advocacy group. And I think, again, the table is large enough for all of us. So let us know your background, some of your interests. Feel free to DM me on Facebook, or say your interest on that post so we can get your feedback. Let us know what you're interested in, the skill sets you have. There's room for all of us to do this work. So I'm glad and proud of the people that have already reached out. And I think we're looking for more.
Definitely looking for more. I do want to give a shout out to the people on Instagram, Skilo, LP, Autumn, Stay So, all of y'all over there. We love y'all. I'm glad I was able to finally get it linked in, so that way we can include y'all in this conversation. And again, like he said, we're open. Nobody knows everything, but together we can do it all. All right. And she said Pilgrim Baptist Church Saturday debate from 3 to 6, just so y'all know. Okay. All right. So we're gonna get out of here. Peace, and congratulations to you, Jakeem, on becoming an uncle.
I love it. Thank you. I'm so happy. Yeah,
that's good. Yeah, that's good. You can flex your authority.
Sorry about all the technology problems here, but this internet is nothing.
Everything you give is worth it. So
it's always worth it.
Oh, thank you.
All right, peace and hair grease. All right, Paul, talk to y'all later. All right.
Bye-bye.
Take care.